Mars is our second closest neighbor in space, and it's undoubtedly the next stepping stone in our ongoing exploration of the solar system. For centuries, we've been captivated by the mysteries of the red planet. But is there a deeper connection between mankind and the red planet than we realize? As far as we know, humans haven't set foot on this small, harsh world yet. Or have they? We've sent various space probes to Mars, and when we look at the pictures they send back, they're totally out of this world. It makes us wonder, what if there were people there in the distant past? What if ancient civilizations originated from Mars? Well, some believe that the pictures provide evidence that they actually did. Even though we know Mars as the red planet with nothing more than piles of rocks, our understanding of it goes way back over 6,000 years to the ancient Sumerians. They thought of Mars as the god of war, calling it Nergal. But our first detailed look at Mars came in 1610, when Galileo pointed his telescope at it. He saw a reddish-orange body with polar ice caps on top and bottom. In the 18th century, William Herschel used a 20-foot-long telescope and observed the polar ice caps changing with the Martian seasons. At that time, scientists believed this showed there might be liquid water on Mars, and they even predicted there could be life. They thought dark spots on the surface were oceans, and they assumed there was vegetation. Then, in 1877, Giovanni Schiaparelli made the first detailed map of Mars. He saw straight lines on the surface and called them canali. Even though canali translates to channel or groove, many thought there were canals on Mars. People believed that these canals might have been built by an intelligent race of Martians. Well, Mars is tough and barren now, with no surface water. But that wasn't always the case. Billions of years ago, Mars was a water world. Scientists see signs of water all over Mars, possibly as deep as 300 meters. In fact, it's estimated that anywhere from 36 to 75% of Mars's surface was once covered in liquid water. There are dried river channels in canyons, lake beds at the bottom of craters, and even evidence of big volcanoes. Mars had a thick atmosphere and a global magnetic field, much like Earth. It had everything to support life. During what's called the Noachian period in Martian history, the red planet was actually a blue planet. So, with all this hope and excitement, NASA sent 2 spacecraft to Mars, Viking 1 and Viking 2 in 1975. Their mission was to photograph the Martian surface and send the images back to Earth for analysis. Despite sending many images, unfortunately, there were no canals, lakes, or ruined cities of a lost civilization, or even life, just emptiness. But then, in late July of the next year, Viking 1 sent back 18 images of a region called Cydonia in the planet's northern hemisphere. Little did NASA know at that time, but one of those pics would capture the public's imagination for decades to come. In an area covering 25 square miles, mission controllers were surprised to see what looked like a gigantic, human-like face staring back at them. At first, this raised some eyebrows, but when NASA officials took a closer look, they considered these anomalies to be optical illusions and released the pictures anyway. After the pictures went public, people's imaginations went wild. Some conspiracy theorists said this couldn't have formed naturally, but most geologists disagreed. They said the face wasn't just an optical illusion. It seemed to have 2 eye sockets, a nose, and even a mouth. The weirdest part was that the structure had 2 sides that were the same length, perfectly straight and parallel, each hundreds of yards long. Both the top and bottom edges were curved with the same radius. It looked like a symmetrical frame for the face. Imaging experts mentioned that the base of the face looked different from anything you'd usually see in nature. To prove or disprove the theory, they needed more photos. They started pushing NASA to take new pictures of the face. NASA said they had no interest in taking pictures of the face, but the pressure was building up. While the debate was going back and forth, just a couple of months after the face was released, Viking 2 suddenly sent back some interesting images. There's a cluster of formations resembling pyramids located a couple of miles away from the face that some people refer to as the city square. Near those formations is an object nicknamed the Fortress, which appears to be a collapsed pyramid. Additionally, there's a formation known as the DNM Pyramid, named after the NASA imaging scientists Vince DiPietro and Greg Molina. If you pay attention to these formations, they're within a couple of miles of each other. This reminds us of how ancient civilizations built structures here on Earth. They constructed monuments not in isolation, but in a complex arrangement, similar to sites like Göbekli Tepe in Turkey or the pyramids in Egypt, where structures are closely clustered. What's cool about the city is that if you take the apex of all the pyramidal structures there, which are numerous, their layout matches the arrangement of the Pleiades star cluster. Well, it's easy to dismiss these discoveries, saying it's just a coincidence that all these strange structures and pyramids happen to line up with stars and are just a few miles from the face. But then, Mars anomaly investigator Stanley McDaniel and Errol Torren, a cartographer at the Defense Mapping Agency, took a close look at the image of the Cydonia complex. They stated that the face and other structures there are not of natural origin. They concluded that no known geological process can adequately explain the formation.
The outer shape of the face mound is a symmetrical oval with flattened sides. We developed a hypothetical model of the DNM pyramid's original shape and found that the structure incorporates many facets of Euclidean geometry. We identified numerous trigonometric functions, irrational numbers, and the 5 main foundations of sacred geometry. The dimensions of the DNM pyramid are extremely close to the golden section ratio, commonly used in sacred geometry.
And those are just from the Cydonia region. Over 20 years since NASA's rovers Spirit and Opportunity landed on Mars, thousands of images have come back, and those images are even more strange. In 2022, the Curiosity rover found a doorway carved into the rock face. You can argue that erosion caused this, but unusually, there are no perfect angles in nature. When things erode or shatter, it's because of fissures and cracks that form naturally, but never in a straight line. Now, I'm really curious about what's behind that door. This looks like the imprint of a valve or gear, and the shot was taken with Opportunity's microscopic imager. Could this be the leftover mark from some ancient machinery? I'm scratching my head wondering how nature could create this. One thing's for sure, it's definitely not a piece of the rover either. How about this? The photo is claimed to capture a UFO flying across the planet's surface during the afternoon. This one's particularly intriguing because it can't be easily dismissed as a misidentified bird or something else. Here are a pair of long parallel lines with indentations that lead to what appears to be a half-buried disc. Look closer and you'll notice a perfectly shaped crescent edge and a clean circular edge. Could that be the back edge of a flying saucer? Some might argue it's a meteor impact, but this trail doesn't match the usual meteor patterns on the surface. Meteors usually hit at a shallow angle, but this one's different. Plus, the object itself is still intact. This photo was captured by the Mars Global Surveyor in 2000. A saucer-shaped formation or structure really stands out against the surrounding landscape. It's perfectly circular now. If you think it's just debris from previous owners, I don't think so, because this is not a small thing. The structure we're looking at is 10 to 15 meters in diameter. And those are just a few of the weird things. There are plenty more. While these pictures might be quite compelling for some, they can be hard to believe for others. But hold on, because things are about to get even weirder. Look, if Mars once had liquid water and a thick atmosphere, everything necessary to support life, and plus certain structures similar to those on Earth that were not natural, then we have to ask, who built those and what happened to them? One popular theory, they were destroyed by a nuclear war. Possible evidence includes atmospheric traces of an element called xenon-129. This took place in 2012 when NASA's Curiosity rover landed on Mars. Unexpectedly, it uncovered evidence of radioactive isotope xenon-129 in the chemical composition of the red planet. Scientists around the world struggled to explain the presence of this radioactive isotope, which is a byproduct of nuclear explosions. The xenon-129 levels on Mars are 2.5 times higher than what we find on Earth from atomic bomb testing. For that much xenon to end up on the surface, the nuclear weapon would have to be the size of the Eiffel Tower. We're talking energy equivalent to 1,000 megatons of TNT, which is 20 times more powerful than the biggest nuke the Soviet Union ever set off, the Tsar Bomba. Maybe that size of nuclear weapon could answer how Mars went from intelligent life forms to ending up like today. But with that level of technology before that catastrophic event, a small group of these humanoids might have escaped off-world. So, who were those Martians that managed to escape? Well, here's a hint: look in the mirror. There's a group of people known as the Dogon tribe in Mali that claims they're not originally from Earth. They assert that they came from the sky many eons ago.
Are you aware of the origin myth of the Dogon tribe?
No.
There's a tribe I believe it's a tribe in, I forget what part of Africa, but they believe that they came from Mars and that there was a civilization that left Mars, many, many eons ago. And it's a really weird theory because they know some things about Mars.
When French anthropologist Marcel Créoux explored the Dogon tribe in 1931, he was shocked by the ancient race's origin story and their cosmological knowledge. They were aware of Sirius B for thousands of years, which was unknown to anyone on Earth until 1862. Sirius B is so tiny, only visible with advanced, high-powered telescopes, and the Dogon knew that the invisible star was very dense, and also the brighter one was a larger star than the Sun. They further knew that Sirius B is about the size of Earth and spins on its axis. Additionally, they were aware of the planets orbiting Sirius. How did they know all this stuff? I mean, the Dogon tribe has knowledge that they should not have had. Could they be descendants of the ancient Martians? I know, it sounds crazy. Another theory is that even if an intelligent race created the structures on Mars, they wouldn't have been technologically advanced enough to create such a devastating nuclear weapon. This suggests that somehow some other predatory alien race must have intervened. Imagine the inhabitants of this Martian civilization. All of a sudden, there are huge flashes of light and heat, destruction raining everywhere, and everything you've ever known is destroyed in an instant. But reminiscent bacteria of that intelligent life form on Mars were propelled to Earth as a result of the event where a large asteroid hit Mars and threw rocks upward at a sufficient speed to leave Mars's gravity and end up here on a lifeless Earth. Finding suitable conditions, those bacteria might evolve into higher life forms and eventually into us. So, there's much talk about Mars. Weird, countless anomalies, images, ancient stories, and legends. But how much of this is true? Do any of those photographs provide unequivocal proof that the rovers aren't alone on the red planet, or that they've captured pictures of ruins and cities? Well, unfortunately not. Let me clear up the field. Some of the images are far from conclusive. Anomalies are, in all likelihood, nothing more than odd-shaped rocks. It's well within human nature to see familiar patterns when looking at random markings or objects. This is known as pareidolia. And even after a decade of debate on the face of Mars, NASA finally took a second, highly detailed photo of the face on Mars in the year 1998. But there are still people who don't believe it. Conspiracy theorists insisted that NASA lied about the image being real. NASA never landed the rover a second time in Cydonia, so it's hard to point out which side is correct, because Mars is not the place to go and see for ourselves. And what about the supposed alien invasion and origin myths of the tribes? While these accounts make for a fascinating read, not one of these ideas has provided any proof whatsoever of their existence. But don't let assumptions deter you from your beliefs. If you're inclined to support any of those ideas, it's up to you. Look, every image of anomalies that you can see can be explained, but not all of them. So there's a tiny bit of a chance until we get close-up real photos of Cydonia. The thought of humans having visited or even originating on Mars is a fascinating one, to say the least. The solar system is ancient, and particularly for those who believe in life beyond the stars, it's highly probable that we will one day find the fossilized remains of an alien life form within our solar system or elsewhere. There's one thing for sure: Mars had a hospitable environment in the past. But every planet will wither and die with time. Probably Mars had met its end too. We still know very little about it. It's a huge planet, and we explored a teeny tiny part of it with the help of rovers. In the future, when Earth has met its end and becomes just a lifeless floating rock in space, civilizations from other planets might explore our planet, wondering if there was once intelligent life on Earth, just as we do about Mars. I genuinely hope that human artifacts will endure for a long time, so they won't doubt that we actually existed at one time. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. If you enjoyed this video or learned anything, please do me a favor. Subscribe, like, comment, share, and until next time, stay safe and stay smart.